Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm Vox, and one piece of unfinished business that I'm still waiting to see explored in Steven Universe Future is the current state of Homeworld in Era 3, alongside the new status quo for the Great Diamond Authority. Luckily, the current direction of the story may lead to an adventure that focuses on this plot thread. And with a recent render in the Cartoon Network arcade circulating, I'm now pondering a scenario where Steven attempts a new purpose in life, embracing the full-fledged diamond duties and privileges he once denied. So let's gather around and theorize an upcoming potential episode or arc in Steven Universe Future. Of course, spoiler warning. If you do not want to know anything about upcoming episodes and do not desire to see any information that may be sensitive to said episodes, click off now. With all that said, let's dive in. The most information we currently have on the current state of Homeworld comes from the tie-in video game Steven Universe Unleashed the Light, which has an opening cutscene that establishes Steven's new decree, feeding to the audience 3 basic simple rules that all of Gemkind must follow. Number 1, the diamonds no longer have authority. Number 2, gem colonies are now free, independent planets. And number 3, gems must give up all weapons of war. Now these 3 rules have all been explored on other planets except Homeworld so far in Future. The diamonds no longer holding authority is seen in virtually every episode. The existence of Little Homeworld and Little Home School serves to cement that for the entire galaxy to see. Gem colonies being free independent planets is explored in Why So Blue, which centered around Steven and Lapis talking down fellow Lazulis, attempting to cease their colonization on an unclaimed independent planet. And gems giving up weapons of war is showcased in Bluebird, as the dastardly devilish fusion lacks Aquamarine's wand, the components of the fusion relying on Eyeball's chisel until Bluebird herself gets a proper grip and is able to manifest that chisel into an insanely overpowered ice sword. But in case you're wondering why they didn't have Aquamarine's wand, there you go. Now, while all of these rules sound great to Steven and probably look great on paper, I would wager that Homeworld is a silent mess right now, as all 3 of these rules have gigantic flaws in them. For starters, with the diamonds ceasing control, they may not actually even be doing anything, considering it appears as if Steven has maintained as minimal contact with them as possible. From what we saw in the movie, all they wanted to do was adore Steven, and by the end, they were already quite situated with Spinel. However, it feels as if the diamonds and Spinel are just going to create an infinite loop with showering each other with attention and affection for every passing moment of every day. And while they all may eat this up, it of course distracts them from getting any actual progress done. The inherent flaw here is kind of obvious. Though the diamonds are no longer intergalactic tyrants, they should have more or less been stripped from their leadership position. Politics aside, every country on the planet Earth has a leader. They still have a government with laws to obey. And while some countries may be as strict and controlling as the diamonds once were, Steven really should have just went for more of a democracy, allowing gems alike to vote on what rules they would like to see in place, with the diamonds adhering, but not forcing their own ideology and rules, but just allowing anyone to do whatever they want, running around willy-nilly. We've already seen some unforeseen circumstances, such as Bluebird being able to attack Steven in the first place. Ultimately, nothing was holding Bluebird back, because it's not like they were afraid of the diamonds retaliating, that the diamonds would even notice in the first place. As for the former colonies of Homeworld to be free, independent planets, this is the step in the right direction, but as evident from Why So Blue, there doesn't seem to be any defense system in place for these colonies to remain independent, for the diamonds to prevent these planets being reclaimed once more. As for gems turning in all weapons of war, well yes, most gems don't need those weapons. You would think they would still want to hold on to a militia of some kind, just in the case of hypothetical war with any rival alien races, or as we've been discussing for a long time on this channel, any rebellions within Homeworld. Ultimately, there are reasons as to why Jasper is on Earth, and why the likes of Aquamarine and Eyeball bonded in the first place. While no matter what, Steven won't be able to please everybody, there is no doubt that he could be making a greater effort. However, as Steven still holds on to the idea that he needs to help everyone, and that his purpose in life has to be some variation on that, it makes sense that he would at least entertain the notion of him finally and actually assuming the role as the new Pink Diamond. Not just holding that title, but acting on it. Little Homeschool did not work out for Steven. Gardening didn't work out for Steven. And as he feels disconnected from his friends, whom are beginning to travel in separate directions, I think it makes sense that Steven himself would want to consider his own direction, one that sees him outside the realm of Beach City. A certain figure on the Cartoon Network arcade has begun circulating online, featuring Steven after the time skip, donning Pink Diamond's clothes once more. And while this could be a legitimate hint of things to come, it's more likely to just be a a digital collectible and nothing more, as the Cartoon Network arcade allegedly has other figures of Steven in similar outfits from the past with his new look applied. But it still perfectly bridges into Steven's arc and where his head is currently at. If he's no longer fit as leader of the Crystal Gems, as a teacher at Little Homeschool, and can even find serenity in gardening without a cactus coming to life, Steven may come to the conclusion, if I'm not a good individual leader, I may be better suited to lead a larger group of people with other more powerful hands on deck. Steven's minimal contact with the diamonds is likely pretty intentional, simply because he doesn't want to be too close to them. However, desperate times call for desperate measures. If he's finding himself this isolated, the best thing he may be able to do in this current point in time is bite the bullet and give this lifestyle a shot. Now, Steven returning to his mother's outfit would be a bit much and redundant, but perhaps he creates his own pink diamond uniform, something that's stylized to him and him alone. It could take visual cues from Pink Diamond's outfit, but is ultimately repurposed and distinct. A look where a simple gaze will have any Homeworld gem yield, that's my Pink Diamond. No eyes are going to be cracked like an egg. Steven actually pulling the diamonds out of their unconcentrated state and forcing them to be actual leaders would bring their arc full circle. After all, he had to give Yellow and Blue that initial push to try to heal a corrupted gem in the first place. So imagine what he could do with the drive to actually tidy up and actually get just a little bit stricter on the current state of Homeworld, teaching Gemkind to respect but not fear the diamonds, and teaching the diamonds a little bit more in humility aside from grief, affection, and unhealthy coping mechanisms all around. This would also provide very interesting interactions and development for the diamonds. I'm sure Steven suddenly deciding to come live with them would be exciting, yet a bit concerning. And if Steven does decide to correct the rules of Era 3, I bet the diamonds would even be a little bit mad. For example, Yellow Diamond probably loved her army. Did you see the way she said, "Let us adore you" to Steven? There's always gonna be a raging warlord within her. And what guidance could Yellow Diamond provide Steven? For example, with his pink powers, could she give him some pointers on combat? Blue Diamond would certainly be the most excited to have Steven around. A part of me hopes that she adores Steven just as much as she adored Pink, except in her own way, for his own Steven-y way. I imagine Blue Diamond would stick up for Steven just as much as she did for Pink. However, when it comes to actually opening up to her, that's when Steven would find difficulty. Blue Diamond gives me the air of someone who loves to give attention, but actually hearing and processing someone's problems, that's when it would get a little bit tricky. And maybe it'll even cause Steven to truly walk a mile in his mother's shoes. Future's hammering in that he's already going down a similar path, but for Steven to end up in a position where the diamonds hear him, but don't actually listen to him, would cause Steven to relate to his mother more than he's ever had before in his entire life. And I think White Diamond is who Steven would still clash heads with the most, and not for any other reason beyond the simple fact that they are very alike. They both feel as if they need to make things better, and they're both probably feeling kind of lost, as if they both don't have a purpose. Maybe once Steven imbues initiative within the diamonds, him and White have opposing views on what direction to take Homeworld, that they're both coming from a good place, neither of them have malicious intent, but not seeing eye to eye would drive both of them off the wall. Pink Diamond Steven can lead into a further elaboration of his pink powers, where the source of it all is coming from, the long-awaited revelation of the pink-hued White Diamond, a follow-up on Spinel, any more anti-Steven gems and factions on Homeworld, and a revision of Era 3's rules so that the race can be pushed in the proper direction. I think it would be nice to break away from Earth for a few episodes and build upon what Future is already proving, with the two sides of Steven's life merging into one. Casually exploring Homeworld and seeing it on a day-to-day basis would be a natural step that otherwise feels missing, as the best look we've gotten of Homeworld so far, through the episodes Familiar, Together Alone, and Change Your Mind, hasn't really given us a proper look at Homeworld civilians, only what it's like to be at the top. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? How do you feel about the prospect of Steven actually attempting to be a diamond? Do you believe it would be a bit of a backtrack of his character development, or would it be a natural step with him trying to put his own spin on things? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at OshrickVox. We're also on Instagram. Special thanks to JANKYBONES for creating an awesome thumbnail. For more other amazing art, you can find them on Tumblr at JANKYBONES, Twitter and Instagram at BoneJanky, and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Link in the description. Help Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. OshrickVox, signing out.